very complex. Just this little white.
I don't.
This is an example.
You wait to start her, or do you time her?
No, I'll wait until she says, as soon as she starts, she's going to stop.
You just set that off and somebody says you did record a video?
It's on the video.
Yeah.
Chuck, and then she can
Okay.
watch.
While this is coming up. The world seems to be getting more and more complex these days. Technology changing rapidly, new knowledge emerging moment by moment. We keep throwing all of that at the problems that are facing us, and our problems seem to be escalating. Things seem to be getting worse and potentially even falling apart. What can we, as individual citizens and communities, do to respond to that? So, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests, I'd like to take 5 minutes to see if I can answer that. How many of you have been lost in a very complex chord maze or a hall of mirrors that's elegantly designed? You keep running into dead ends or bumping up against walls and unable to find your way out. My suggestion for the complex situation that we're in now in the world and in our own community is very similar to my suggestion for how to resolve the chord maze issue. We live in a world that's been dominated for quite some time, even centuries, with a mechanical worldview, the Newtonian worldview that turns things into objects, that's very linear thought, that is cause and effect. And that's the format we have been using to try to solve the problems in the world. And it's been very useful in creating what we have today. But I'd like to suggest that the problems we're faced with now are problems of living systems. They're not problems of a mechanical worldview. So when we treat things like parts and we treat things like objects, and we're talking about people and the environment, we run into the problem that we're not taking into account the whole. We're not attending to the relationships. We treat knowledge as if it's once and for all perfect knowledge, applicable and true across the board, instead of knowledge being contextual and looking at the situations. We fail to take into account quality, process, and patterns. In my work with organizations, are beginning to see themselves as groups of self-organizing systems. So individuals, project teams, departments, divisions, whole organizations. And when they begin to see themselves as self-organizing systems, that capacity to control and predict goes out the window. That's the Newtonian, we can control and predict things. And instead, it's a step towards how do we separate those things we can control and predict from those things that we can't control and predict, those living systems. My question is, what if Asheville were to consider itself as a whole system? Imagine Asheville, a halcyon community, seeing itself as a collective of self-organizing systems. We've actually got them all over Asheville, and they go from the fun, groups of people coming together around drumming every Friday night, to the really serious business of sustainability. One of the challenges we face is we have lots of people focusing on sustainability in all different parts of the community. Some of them coordinating themselves, some of them not, some of them replicating what they're doing. The challenge is, how do you bring all of those together so we can actually work together as a whole community? Asheville Connects is one of those super organizations that's attempting to bring people who are focused on the same topic of interest together to coordinate and connect what they're doing. So we clearly have this desire to create positive outcome together as a whole. And what if we were able to have really intentional designs that would support our capacity to do this? If we were able to design systems and infrastructures that actually supported a community-wide effort, how would we do that? How would we illuminate the connections that are there, they're just not visible to us? And how would we find those stories of what's already working and lift those up so those stories could inform other people working in the same areas? And then how can we create opportunities for the new to emerge? How do we bring diverse voices together, diverse views, all around a topic of importance in ways that innovation emerges, new knowledge emerges, jobs we haven't even heard of emerge? So my challenge to us as a community is to actually move towards that. I'm going to jump to the last slide. Oops. Well, maybe I won't. My suggestion is that from a different perspective, what looks really complex when we're in the corn maze is actually quite simple if you just move 30 feet up.